Refurbished Mike here. I'm at a bit of an impasse here today on this blade welder that I'm working on. And this is the last article to complete for this bandsaw refurbishment. And I have the welder pretty much all cleaned up. This is the little guard for the grinding wheel. And I'm at a bit of an impasse here on how to wire this. Now, if you recall, this thing was jake-legged and the power came from an external source and it went down through this hole where the annealing switch is supposed to be, and then there was a wire that came out of this hole and led over to a momentary switch, which I'm assuming is what they had jury-rigged to do the actual annealing. And so it was kind of an unconventional wire job on this thing. It was probably done many years ago on the fly by some millwright or electrician that had a problem with this saw. In fact, it did have a problem, because when I rewired what I thought was the right wires inside there, way up inside the machine there was a short, and no doubt that's why they had wired this in through this switch hole here. I do have a momentary switch that I bought, but it's a single pole, single throw, momentary on, and that would end up going into here. And I think that's right, but I'm not sure whether you just break one leg of the circuit, or do I need a double throw, double pole switch in there? That's a question. So here's what I'm asking, is if there's anybody out there that can help me to kind of guide me on the correct way to wire this. I know how I think it should go. If I wire it up wrong, I'm afraid of blowing the transformer out or something like that. Something that's either impossible to replace or difficult to replace. So I'm going to turn this thing around and I'll show you what my questions are inside. Okay, hang on. Okay, this is the back side of this blade welder, and my first assumption is that it's 220 single phase, and I'm pretty sure that's right, but you tell me. And then second of all, here's the first wire. This is an original wire here, and I'm assuming this is one leg of the 220 single phase power coming in, and this particular wire goes to this little looks like these little laminations here, and it's connected up to this set of contacts. So do I wire up one of the legs to this wire? That's the question. And next, on the other side here, this wire comes out of the coil down here. I'm not doing a very good job of showing you, but there's a few wires that come out of this coil, which is, I think, the primary side. And I'm assuming that this wire is the other side of my hot leg on my single phase power. Then I have a wire here, which is a fairly light gauge wire. It also comes out of the, I believe, the secondary on this thing. And I have no clue right now as to where it goes. I see I did mark it, but in the heat of battle, I've lost my reference as to where this goes. So here's an orphan wire. I have no idea where it goes, but I don't think it has anything to do with the incoming power, because it is a lighter gauge. That's the first thing I need to know. Are these two wires here, the first two wires that I mentioned, are they for the power coming in? So if anybody has any knowledge out there of this, I appreciate any input you have. Now I have researched this online, and I've went on the machinist forums and there's some information, but I'm not sure any of it really is pertaining to this old of a blade welder. This is probably one of the very, very original ones, and I can't seem to find any good information on the internet. Maybe I'm missing something. Second thing would be, you know, to find somebody that's old enough to have knowledge of this particular blade welder, and I haven't run across that particular person, or an electrician that just has enough basic wiring knowledge that could guide me on this. So here's what it kind of looks like in there. Some of these wires, the insulation is coming off, and I'll repair those. That's not a big deal. So these two wires here are nothing. This is just for the work light. When I get done with this, I will add 3 switches. One switch for the work light, one switch for the to cut the power on the transformer of the blade welder, and the other switch for the grinder, the blade grinder itself. So if you've got any advice on that, I'd sure appreciate hearing it. Now here's the other topic for today, and this isn't really a tool review, but this is something that I got myself for Christmas. As I was sitting down writing checks out and putting them in Christmas cards to my grandkids, it occurred to me, maybe I'll make a check out to myself and buy myself something. And this is something I've always wanted. This is a carbide grinder. It's intended to do tools, tool bits, and so forth, and is particularly good at carbide. I've always wanted one of these. Never felt like I could spend the money on it. Not something I use a whole lot, but when you need it, you sort of need it. And I just didn't want to spend the money for something like this. But the time has come, and I've got it now. And this comes with 2 of the green wheels, which you can grind carbide with. I have never had real good success with these in my days on the bench. I plan on taking and replacing one of these with a diamond wheel. Maybe I'll use a diamond wheel for finishing and then leave a green wheel on the other side for roughing. And the reason I bought this is because there's a couple of projects that I've kind of been noodling on to make a video for, and it entails grinding some carbide. So there you are. So this has everything that you really need. You know, it has your tables that tilt. It has a little gauge that has some adjustment on it. Has the little reservoir to put coolant in. I'm used to always using, for this type of grinder, using kerosene. Has a pretty nice little work light here. It doesn't come with a bulb, but I put a little LED bulb in there. I turned it on when I first got it, and it runs fairly smooth. So I have seen various people that bought these grinders and felt the need to replace the bearings. But this one, I don't think I have to do that. I think I'm ready to go to work with this. So it comes with 2, I guess you'd call them coolant trays that pop off here. You'll probably see these in some future videos. Like I say, this is a real luxury for me. It's something that is awful hard to justify for no more than I'll use it. I can say I'm really happy to have it. So we'll put her to work. This should be a fairly short video today, so we'll end it right here. And this is Mike, signing out. Bye.